and I am here to give you, to try to give you a modified presentation of exploring the creativity in the virtual world. When I say modified, it's because we already had a workshop in Sarajevo, which was in person, and we were exploring how to create a VR solution. And I am asked now to give you something similar, which is quite difficult because, I cannot put my VR glasses on and, show you. That's still the limitation of the virtual reality. But anyhow, I will do my best. So at the beginning, let me just explain who I am, because I spoke with Anna and I thought maybe I can do it for all of you. So, I'm an associate professor at the University Sarajevo School of Science and Technology. I graduated from Faculty of Electrical Engineering in Sarajevo and did a PhD at University of Warwick in UK. For the past 20 years, I've been teaching assistant, moving between positions from teaching assistant to a professor in the field of computer graphics. That is still my major field of interest and research and teaching as well. Game design, game development, data visualization, some of the key teaching courses. And my research revolves around developing serious games for kids with disabilities. My PhD was about the use of smell in virtual environments, and we will talk slightly about that as well. Just trying to motivate you to think outside of the box. And obviously, being a professor most of my life, I also am very much eager into changing things, how things are done, or how students are treated and offered classes and similar topics. Okay. Before I start with the official slides, I also created, just a second, a multimeter in case you would like to help and share where are you joining me from. So if you could, it's not mandatory, but just kind of, I told you who I am. I would like to know about you, and maybe I can streamline later some of the slides and examples that I'll be offering towards your field. So the first question is basically if you can tell us where are you joining us? And I tried this just before the class. Oh, sorry. Okay. So the responses are coming, but it's taking a bit of time. Don't know. Okay. One more. Bucharest, Sarajevo. Is there anyone else wanting to join us? How do you pronounce this? Cluj, Napoca, Ljubljana? Beautiful.
It's
Kako?
Cluj-Napoca from the center of Transylvania, Romania.
Okay, I think I know that, but I was just wondering how do you pronounce? Is it Cluj?
Cluj, Cluj.
Cluj, Cluj. Okay, okay. Thank you very much for joining.
My pleasure.
Okay, so we have Ljubljana, perhaps. not member of the project team countries, if I may say like that. But very happy to have you with me today. Okay, and there is one more question I wanted to pose on you, if you could bear with me, and that is this background, because this course or the workshop, and as you saw from Anna's presentation about the background of people intended for artists to use the technology. So I was just wondering, is it, artists, or do we have CS, computer science people, technical people? Just so I know, maybe I need to skip some of the slides which are kind of more um, towards one field and not all the others. So this is again an open-ended question, something like, artist, sculptor, professor, whatever you feel like putting here. The results are not recorded. I mean, it's not like they will be used. There is no personal data here being recorded. It's just a question to help me get to know my audience. Beautiful. Anyone else? I'll give you a minute. Software engineering. Okay. Digital art, technology engineering. Okay. Some almost 50-50. 3-2, actually. Okay. Well, thank you very much for being kind to participate with me. So I will now continue with the presentation. I have some knowledge now of your background, and I'm just trying to, I'm sorry, let me just stop sharing so that I can try to see you because something has changed between me shifting among the screens. Um, okay, now it's all good. I can see the you guys on my sidebar, and I can see the presentation as well. Anyhow, so I mean, this course is about virtual reality, and the idea is what you can do in virtual reality and create it, and how to implement your knowledge in virtual reality and create for us, kind of viewers, participants, something beautiful, something new, something interesting, right? So virtual reality is not about escaping the world. It used to be like that, kind of considered as escape rooms where you go in and you kind of get lost in the games or environment, exploring and so on. Today, virtual reality is about reimagining it, right? Because we are within this workshop, within this lecture, call it however you wish, trying to bring together creativity and technology to empower the artists to express, to be expressed in this new dimension. Virtual reality is called and like it is considered as a new canvas maybe on which we can draw and learn and create new things. So as I mentioned, these are some of the things that we're gonna talk about today, trying to explain the concept. And for me, explaining and showing you this rise of VR is very important because a few years ago, I had these debates with my colleagues here, and some of the people from the industry were very skeptic about VR, saying, it's done deal, nobody's gonna be used, because there was a certain point in time where the development stopped. And it was introduced to the market, to the mass market, and then it stopped. There were no further developments, so it was kind of considered, the world tried something new, it didn't go by well, and it was kind of considered obsolete. But no, it actually, it is actually projects like this that try to help people understand the potential. And then slowly there was a rise, and you will see this SST's journey. That's the university where I work. And through an example list of projects that we did in the past, you will see how you can utilize VR for within various fields, and how it is becoming a new medium of interaction. And that's what I'm hoping manage at least to inspire you. There is also a list of practical tasks, and these tasks are we used to implement them in a lab during the first iteration of this workshop, physically in Sarajevo. But I have also created the detailed presentation and the tutorial, every step in detail written, is shared with the organizers of this, or coordinator of this project. And I'm sure you can get in touch with these. Today, I will put on this presentation just bullet points of the order of things that needs to be done. There is still an order. And even when you ask, I don't know, ChatGPT, AI tools, they will not, it will take time to get to the final product. So what I wanted to offer here within this very limited time slot that we have is simply, do this, do this, do this, and then, it's up to you and your imagination what will come out of it. Okay, so virtual reality, by the definition, immerses users in computer-generated environments through headset and motion tracking. Headset is a device that we put on the head, and motion tracking is the sensors that we have on our body that we can use and create the movement. I'm sure actually, I'm not, but maybe you have seen Avatar movies and the James Cameron story of how these movies are created. Well, it's all about using VR technology in a way, but also not just the VR technology, but the motion tracking. For me, personally, I have nothing to do with the actings, never did. But I find that their job is becoming quite hard. Because I'm constantly looking for these examples, how things were recorded, so that I can share them with my students. But, imagining, I don't know, Brad Pitt sitting on a chair in an office like mine, and being surrounded by cameras, and he's trying to give you this message from a movie, and he's trying to do the acting, when in fact it will be a virtual character that he will be put on. So I find it quite difficult. Maybe it's just me. You can share your opinion as well. But for example, James Cameron, the author, the director of the Avatar movie, before the first movie, he took the entire crew to Amazonia, I think for a week or a month. I forgot the detail, for some time, to be able to experience living in such an environment, and so that they could act more naturally when put in a studio surrounded by the cameras, the sensors, and so on. Um, so that's a new dimension and the use of VR. XR, I'm sure you have heard the term, stands for extended reality, but it's actually an umbrella term for VR, which is fully digital, augmented reality or AR, which is basically, you using your mobile phone, scanning a QR code on the other side, and then looking, let's say, at the object that used to exist at that particular location. Or Pokemon Go, again, was an example of use of augmented reality. And then we have this mixed reality as a term, which is fusion of physical and digital worlds. So artists are using VR to create 3D sculptures, immersive exhibitions, interactive storytelling, because it is considered as a new canvas, just like I mentioned at the beginning. When we say interactive storytelling, this is not interactive. I mean, I'm giving you a presentation, your cameras are off, and I'm trying to move my hands in, but imagine, being with me in this room. That would be this storytelling beyond the frame, which is 360 narrative design. Today you have, especially in Maribor, there is at the University of Electrical Engineering, there is an entire program related to multimedia and a 360 videos. They have a beautiful studio there, which is where they're doing PhD studies and developments related to these 360 videos. And, imagine having, me in a 360 video, looking at everything around me, seeing what is on the far right of the corner, if somebody's standing taking pictures, and so on. So we are, I remember, for example, when I put the VR headset first, and they have these, and it was the older versions, and you have these demos when you just download it. And like I'm sitting on my chair and kind of observing these mountains, or sitting. There are various templates available. So there is one with hacienda looking overlooking the coast. So, I could literally imagine myself, because the graphics were really nice, imagine myself sitting there drinking coffee and looking over the ocean. So I would say that VR is representing, it is becoming a bridge between the traditional art and digital interactivity. Some of them, I mean, I put here a few examples and I'll show them to you, because that's why I wanted to share the full screen so that I can toggle between my screens. Um, but I think during the COVID, not that I would like us to be reminded of that pandemic, but it was interesting how all major museums immediately became online, and they offer their exhibitions online. This is something that we in Sarajevo have been doing since I was a student. The idea my professor Salma Rizvic had was always about using those interactive stories and visuals to attract people to come to Sarajevo. And we did some papers that were, I mean, many, many years ago, research papers about, when you see a virtual museum, would you come to see the real one? And the answers were very, very positive. So what are the examples? Well, there's this Google Tilt Brush. Let me see, how will it work? Okay, it's not showing. I've got audio, so it's here. Let me just check if you can see it. Yes, you can see it. Um, so what is a Google Tilt Brush? How amazing is this? I don't know if you can hear the music, but regardless of the music, has anyone tried it, maybe? No. Oh, okay. Ooh, I canceled. Oh. Just a second. I think the Virtual Museum of Fine Arts is.
Imagine conducting every part of your research only on one platform. Meet Boreum, your AI.
Okay. This is a Virtual Museum of Fine Arts. And this video is 3 years ago. The previous one of the tilt brush was, I think, a few years even before that. And one of the examples that is quite interesting is this one as well. The last one on the list where you have the links. Marina Abramovic produced in collaboration with Acute Art. It is about showing the rise of water, and it's considered as cli climate act of climate conscience, rise of climate consciousness, in a way. To show you, let me just see the video, so that you can see.
This video game will present players with the opportunity to save lives in urban landscapes radically altered by catastrophic flooding. Performance is all about process. I can push my body limits as far as I can go. We are 21st century. Things change. I've been introduced to virtual reality. I understood that the possibilities are enormous. Whatever you can do with your body, you as avatar can actually do endlessly. Some predictions say that even 100 years of the human race will not exist on this planet. I want to address these issues. You're saving the human being and you're saving the planet. Or you're not saving the planet and you make human beings die. And the choice is only yours. With virtual reality technology, players will be immersed in a dystopian world that seems increasingly likely to be the future of our planet. I hope to explore the questions if immersive play will increase empathy for the present and the future victims of climate change, and how this experience will affect layers of consciousness and energy. In real life, when someone rescues another person or offers aid of any kind, there is a transfer of energy. The recipient of the help and the provider of aid are both affected by the experience. Will the same happen in a virtual reality?
Okay. How do you feel about this? So the last video is about using virtual reality to demonstrate what is happening with using modern, not just virtual reality, using modern technologies to demonstrate the things happening around us, to raise awareness, to make an impact, to make a change. And that all is, I mean, I come from the engineering side, so there are tools, but the ideas come from the art side. So that's why I asked initially, which background do you come from? And having both is actually very nice as well for this project in a way, because you will be participating and doing some final work at the end. So combining these, you can create absolutely magical things. Okay. Moving on to talk slightly about the history of things. Being a professor, right, I have to always go through the beginning, move to the beginning of when things were created initially. So the first virtual reality device was called Sensorama, and it was invented in the 1960s by Martin Healing, an American cinematographer. It was one of the earliest attempts to create this virtual experience or immersive experience, because you see this the cinematographer himself sitting in this on this chair, being surrounded by this device, which in a way simulates what we have today, right? I remember stories from my father saying the computers used to be the size of this room, and now things are reduced and they fit on mobile phone size, right? So this is a regular display from that time. And what you could experience here in Sensorama is like you are driving a bike through the streets of Brooklyn. There was wind blowing. There was also fans emitting some smell. And there was vibration in this chair. So it was simulating the bike riding from that experience. Generally, how VR creates depth and immersion. Well, the VR devices use something called stereoscopic displays that shows two slightly different images, and one for each eye. The reason for this is, how does it work? We humans have two eyes that are looking at the same object, but from a slightly different angle. If you ever try to close one eye, you see it in one way. When you close the other eye, you see it differently. And especially if you're looking through some fence in front of you, closing one eye or the other, you tend to see through the fence some slightly different angles. So our brain, being human beings, right? Our brain is combining these two images coming from different eyes, and then creating an assumption of the distance and depth in front of us. So the stereoscopic display is trying to imitate this process because it is generating two images of a same scene, left and right, representing the left and right eye. And then they're being combined, and we receive this 3D perception that we are talking here, stereoscopic display. And that's how the virtual reality works as well, or the headsets that we put on our head. They are simulating this same process. Also, when talking about the environment, the passive environment stands for a place where user is just an observer, there is no ability to interact or touch, grab, and so on. And there is an interactive environment where you are able to walk. Now we come to the issue of motion sickness. I don't know if you have tried VR at the moment and in the past, but a lot of people experience motion sickness. It might sound like a bad joke, me teaching computer graphics, working with virtual reality, and also having a motion sickness. Right, it is a joke, but unfortunately, I am most of the time sitting on my chair, and then thanks to the controllers in the right and left hand, I am moving in the environment and rotating myself, but still being seated on a chair. So that's an interactive environment. Also regarding tracking system, you saw at Marina's video, she had sensors on her face. So it could be inside out or outside in, meaning cameras are mounted on the moving object, or cameras are fixed, but the markers are attached to the moving object. And those are the experiences, the types of movements we still have. Now, looking at the types of VR devices, well, today we have more and more of these devices, slightly different in functionality and slightly different in prices as well. So here are just a few examples I wanted to put here for you so that you can kind of compare. The prices might be changing as again it's a fluctuating market. But the HTC Vive maybe was among the first one, and then Oculus Rift S came. They have a very nice design. They have built-in cameras, controllers, but they also require a PC connection. A PC connection means that I have to be plugged in to my computer, and I cannot move therefore freely. I mean, my movement is limited, if I can say like that. Then we had the Google Daydream and Samsung Gear, which were about kind of, inputting a phone. I mean, they created this head holder, but the phone was actually the one doing the job. And it was, I mean, you had to have an app to run it. But let's say Daydream was $100 and Samsung Gear $100 compared to the previous one, Vive and Rift, which were, Vive Pro was 1,000, Quest was 500, and so on. Because of these mobile phones and the rise of smartphones, Google also invented the cardboard, which is like $15. But then Oculus Go appeared, which is the replica of this cardboard. It's literally, I mean, as if, you put a cardboard into this material. So it's a copy paste, just different material. But the price was $250. dollars, and then we come to these new technologies. For example, MetaQuest 3 is something that we at the university have. And what is the prices are also changing. I forgot to put them here, but slightly more expensive. But the beautiful part about MetaQuest 3 is the fact that you don't have to be connected to your computer. We bought some large cables, it can be connected, but you can actually, it has a large memory. You can you can build your app and put it on this Quest, and then take it home, play with it, test it, come back to your work, build a new app, update, and so on. It's especially useful because my colleague and I are constantly traveling, especially he is on the tracks, taking our apps to various museums in the region, and then it's easier if it's everything on a headset, no installations, no internet needed. You just give it to people to test it, to evaluate, and so on. Apple Vision Pro also, Apple created its own VR. Unfortunately, I haven't tried it, so I cannot compare or and give you any feedback or unboxing, how is it said, among the teenagers, right? But it's the newest device that exists on the market as well. I haven't looked at lately their sales, but it's solid design, even though I'm iOS user. MetaQuest kind of looks nicer. This one looks more spacious, spacey, spacing type of a device. Okay. For running a VR or creating a VR, you also have to have a really good computer, computer specification. A lot of people are opting on, assembling their own parts. The graphics card might be the most expensive component today due to blockchain technologies, bitcoins, and all this mining that is happening in the background. But around maybe 1,500 euros would be a really, really good computer. And on this image, I'm sorry, my phone is ringing. So on this image, you actually see this setting, and it's interesting. I mean, we have this blue line, which is about, showing you that, there has to be a space within which you are moving. And then when we have to do some testings where we bring Oculus Quest, and we specifically require a room size, this and that, so that we can test it. And then we come and people are not aware of this requirement, or they don't not take us seriously that we need space. Otherwise, you are hitting other things, risking that you fail. There is a funny, I'm sorry, there is somebody in the chat. Is there a message? Sorry, guys, the chat was disabled. Okay, so you can write things here. There is a funny story about this virtual reality immersion. We have created this virtual environment of a certain tunnel here from Sarajevo. And within it, there is, you put a VR headset and you are in this tunnel, but at certain point in time, as you are walking through the tunnel and doing some tasks, it's a very tiny tunnel. It was built in Sarajevo under the runway. So it's a very tiny passage, but we also created an animation of a person going from the other side. So you have to kind of pass that person in virtual reality. And it's very funny that when we were demonstrating this, there was this lady, and she was, put in a VR, and she was in this tunnel, and she was saying, "But there is somebody coming in my direction. There is somebody coming in my direction." And we kind of didn't take that serious. Like, yeah, it's virtual reality, somebody in the virtual reality. But it was she was so immersed that she actually almost fell down because she was trying to move from that person that was coming in virtual reality in this tunnel. So that's how good, the immersion could be, and how well you convey the message to the user. Anyhow, so this is the area where we have to set up things. You have to have a good computer. And I will speak about computers also in a moment when we go into this practical component. Practical, bullet points of things that need to be done, and me trying to offer certain advices, maybe. Okay, what else do we have? Okay, so these are some of the interesting projects that we did. That there are links. Some of them have videos, some not. But let's say the She Leaders VR is actually a project where there is an app, and you can download it for both iOS and Android, in which you are being, so this is a logo. The project is about creating or recreating women leaders from the Western Balkan in virtual reality. So there was, the women leaders were selected from Bosnia, from Serbia, from Montenegro, Albania, North Macedonia. And we create our actress. This is actress Selma Alispahic. She was being recorded on a green screen and then input into a virtual environment where she's telling you a story, and then you play a game in virtual reality, trying to get certain artifacts from each of these countries and complete the entire game at the end by going through all these rooms representing each country, and then coming out as a winner. It's a beautiful project. It's almost actually it's done, but I do not see a video here. What we did, we actually went to every of these locations, created, took photographs, 3D with a 3D camera, recreated these environments in virtual reality, and then added these gamified elements. Each of these, the She Leaders as a project is now available in the National Museum in Sarajevo. But it's also available in the national museums of these countries, and you can go in there because they have the VR equipment, and you can play the game there as well. Another reason of doing this is also learning, because at least in Sarajevo, a lot of schools are organizing trips of their pupils to a museum, to this virtual environment game. And it's fun to see the feedback and the testing and so on. So that's one. Another one is XR Escape, where what we are trying to do here. We have an escape room in virtual reality. So if you have participated in escape room, the same logic is applied here. A lot of queues are available. You have a team of 2 people or 3 people, and you are trying to resolve the queues, and then open a specific door. And the video, it's done with the Lodz University from Poland. But there is a video of our training that you can see. This is just the initial setup. Now we are already approaching the end of the project, and I would be happy to share the final video, but at the moment this is how it looks like.
Exactly.
But it's in our language. It doesn't matter. Let me just skip this initial part. So we are joining a particular room, two of us, players, and so this is what both of us see. You have the video of both of us. So I am supposed to pick up a card. You see the players. I need to pick up a card. I can reduce the sound. It's pointless because it's in Bosnian language. But anyhow, so one player is supposed to pick up a card, hold it at a door, and the other playing is typing in a code that is seen on a wall. And when the code, the typing is done, the light will turn on and the door will open. So this is us simply exploring how things should be done. And you see my colleague is typing in the code while I am holding a card. So that's a code. I mean, 5 lines of letters, and you have to see what could be the code. So a true implementation of a puzzle that we see in escape rooms generally available, and they're quite popular here as well. So when my colleague types in the code, I was the one holding, I think. And you see the light comes yeah, so the light comes up and we are ready to go to the second room. So this is just one part of the this project. But what we are trying to do here is show you what I am trying to show you is that in the first, it was a gamified learning experience about the history. This example was about training of soft skills. So we are talking about a teamwork and communication skill that could be tested in the virtual reality. It requires only of you to have this, to create this virtual environment. But I see in Poland at least 2 companies already being created that offer these types of trainings. So you go there and you test your team on how they're communicating, how they're solving puzzles, and there is obviously an advice later on or how to improve it and what could be implemented. Then we have this serious games that I mentioned. Those are the games that we create within our classes that are intended for kids with autism spectrum disorder. And here is a full list of these games that we have created that are educational. Serious games generally means an educational game. And you can go into virtual reality and play, test, and learn. And the last thing that I wanted to show you is the virtual lab where we do all these things. So this is again part of one of the projects where we recorded it, but this is how it looks like. So this is the university I come from, or where I work at. And these are the things that we do with our students as well. Don't mind all these papers in the background. And now you see this other company from Banja Luka, Legit Dio, that is creating a game, Leah and Leo, to fight diabetes.
Predstavlja svakodnevnicu djece sa dijabetesom. Ne samo to, nego i pruža drugoj djeci koja, hvala Bogu, nemaju dijabetes, da imaju uvid u to kako djeca žive sa dijabetesom i koji vršnjaci drugari. Vjerujem da su potencijali ogromni, ne samo u onom financijskom i karijernom smislu, nego i u socijalnom i društvenom, s obzirom da igre mogu poslužiti kao elementi putem kojima možemo prenijeti neke poruke koje se tiču da li je to zaštita na poslu, odnosno da li je to zaštita u školi, da li je to edukacija, znači da je to široki spektar primjenih igara u našem društvu.
So I hope you're finding these examples interesting because, I mean, talking about what the idea of the workshop is that you kind of be inspired, that you use these tools that are available and that you learn how to use them and create something beautiful out of it. That's what I find also the purpose of this project as well, in a way, is that you, because as Anna mentioned at the beginning, there will be some trainings later on, and you will probably work in some teams and try to create some things out of it. I mean, everything that I'm speaking about, it requires a lot of practical work. So it should be learning by doing, right? Kind of hands-on approach, which for me, I find it quite difficult to do it this way online. But let's see what I have prepared for you. Anyhow, the galleries are becoming virtual worlds. We see that from the day of the COVID. You as artists are turning code into canvas, and everything that the tools that I will show you in the following slide are really not requiring any technical background. Yes, if you have it, it will be easier for you, but your imagination, your creativity is something that is needed here, right? So the creativity has no limit. It only has the coordinates. You have this virtual space within which you are creating things, and probably you are, going to introduce some emotion and empathy with this interaction with the environment. At least that was the experience I had with the students attending the workshop in person in Sarajevo, because we had a lot of technical issues, but the moment we managed, one of the students, he inputted some of his design characters that he was working on in his free time. And when he inputted them in a virtual reality and you saw that video of a museum, looking so closely at the characters that he modeled, it was a moment I wish we had recorded somewhere. But we didn't. So it was kind of just the moment I was mesmerized by. I'm not sure we are having a break. We can continue, right? There is no need. Yeah. Okay. So the workshop initially had 3 days, and there are a few steps that need to be followed. So this is my guidance and advice to all of you. So the tools required for us to start with, or the software that we should have at hand, and this all is free. Open software, meaning Unity Hub, Unity is a game engine. It comes with hub, and then there is this version that needs to be installed. XR Interaction Toolkit comes with Unity as a software. And in case you're using Meta Oculus, that's the only thing that, without it, there is no point. I mean, you can only create a virtual environment, but you cannot test it using in a virtual reality. So if you're using Meta Oculus app, then you have to have this installation on your device as well. So when discussing game engines, and there is Unity and there is Unreal as well, the two most famous ones. Unreal is more popular with the gaming industry people. But my experience in the past semester when I was teaching computer graphics, so I switched to, because of the assistant that I was having, we switched to Unreal. My students had really difficult time in running it. The reason is capabilities of their computer, because Unity I can run on my Mac and on a desktop solid machine. It doesn't have to be it doesn't require any superpower, but Unreal did. So all the students had to use the gaming lab to model, design, produce, and so on. So it was challenging for them to finish the project they had. And that's why I mean, if you are a starter, if you're doing it on your own, this is something that I would recommend. Furthermore, Unity, I mean, when we discuss licenses, it is free up to certain point. Both Unity and Unreal, I mean, when you look at the license, I think Unity says you can use it for free unless you are making more than 10,000 US dollars, I think. Unreal is a bit larger. I think they said you can use it for free unless you are making an income of, is it $100,000? Something like that. So just be aware of this somewhere in the background. You can download it, use it, and so on. But if you start making an income, then please be aware of this license rule written probably in tiny letters somewhere in the documentation of the software. Okay. And that's the story of the Unity and the logo. My students for students project, they found it really they loved it over the years. Unreal was not so much accepted. Some things are easier in one or the other, but generally the interface, I think I have opened it here. Yeah. So this is the Unity interface. It's the same, almost the same, the structure. It's like if you have done any 3D modeling. So if you look at softwares for 3D modeling, such as 3ds Max, Maya, what else? Cinema 4D. All these are, the interface is almost identical. The modeling process is almost identical. So that's, I mean, if you go into one direction, then you want to switch, fine. It should be easy for you to do it. So now, what is the workflow that not that I recommend, but it's generally how things are done. You go from idea to the VR scene. What you see on these images below is actually my personal workflow that I follow. I mean, from idea to the design. This is University of Warwick, where I was studying. So I was modeling in this hallway. So I first took the pictures to get the idea. I had the physical space, then I added few details on my own, then did some 3D modeling, which is the second image. And this is 3D tool Maya that I was using at that time. Now it's Cinema and Blender. Blender is free for us. And then creating a 3D model. So there is an entire graphics pipeline that should be followed. And this is the first step. I mean, actually the second step. The first step is your idea. Then you kind of creating that idea in a 3D world, which requires you to do some 3D modeling. To sketch those things that you want to put in a virtual environment. But you will see, and then the final step is rendering and kind of putting it online in a VR scene. When we discuss this modeling part, and this is when I mentioned there are certain steps to be followed in when designing the project in virtual reality. So it's create a new project. It's always an advice. Set up XR Toolkit, enable VR in a project, add a simple environment. Here on purpose I said add, because when you go to Unity and when you go to, let me just move it a little bit down. See, when you go to Window, and you have this package manager, and there you can find a lot of free objects, free environments to download. This is very, very useful when you are starting or testing something on your own. Very often we find ourselves, downloading things from YouTube, following the YouTube tutorial and doing it. Various environments exist in case you just want to start creating. But also what you see on this slide, these are two, I would say, most important components of 3D modeling. So you don't have to model. First of all, you can download the free available software. Environments that already exist are prepared by some other artists. But if you are modeling, well, these are the basic primitives that you can use. And trust me, from this cube, you can create a human character. And this is something that I have witnessed artists do. And this is something that you know better than I do. I am a decent artist. I have decent skills in drawing. But for me, it's kind of manipulation of these objects and playing with them and creating an environment. And how do we manipulate with objects? Well, there are only three basic operations that you can do. One is move, rotate, and scale. Scale means scale up or down the object. And rotation and movement is what you do with these objects, that because you're always creating one by one. You cannot create the entire scene, right? We are creating a plane, we are creating a chair, we are creating a tree. So all these are, step by step. So those are the things that we did within the first day. The details are available in the tutorials that you can that can be shared with you. But generally, these are the steps of the process. And then you are done. You can walk around, you can teleport, and without playing without typing in one single line of code. Some of the resources that you can have a look are available here. And then designing, in case you wish to design this environment, this is just, again, something that was downloaded. You can import once you set things up in the first day. Now it's easy to add more objects in the environment or add lighting. Lighting is added only after you place objects in your scene. And then, more teleport options or details, changing the design of a graphic of a controller. Instead of, having a controller, you could input, a robot arm to be shown in a virtual environment. All that, again, available through these free asset stores. And another thing of like an advantage of using Unity is coming straight from my students is the fact that they say a lot of online help is provided for Unity. Unreal, not so much, because Unreal, again, is considered as a professional tool. But Unity, on the other hand, whatever error message you get or whatever you don't know how to do something, there is a support in the background for you. And the last thing that you can do is actually, add a component of grabbing an object. You can add an animation of a ball bouncing around, adding some sound. And this is the export to a headset. Meaning you go to File, Build Setting, whether it's to Android, because Oculus is, MetaQuest is Android, and you build and run, and that's it. So following these steps, you get an application that allows you, when I go to my Unity now, I cannot do anything. I can play, but you will see, you see the controller there, and I am not able to do anything with it, kind of to simulate it. I would have to put a headset on. But generally, this is the very basic environment created, and this is the camera pointing, representing my headset. But it is simply showing the environment and you going in it and playing it. Looking at this interface as well, what you see on the left side is just the list of the objects that you are creating. Below are the folders that you have. Here, when I click on an object, that's what is, this is the object that I selected, and so on. But on this bottom part, you see folders and materials of what you put inside the subject. On the right is the inspector. So every single object has its parameters that you can adjust, play with, or add a script on so that it can perform certain actions. However, when you turn on in Windows Project Manager, this VR packages, here it is, VR, it's already installed. I can remove it, but when you install this, the Unity has all the components it needs to be able to kind of be exported to virtual reality. So this is an initial point. Interactive manager, meaning that it can grab. So this is the code for grabbing, and so on. So these are the tiny details of the objects. And as I mentioned, moving, playing with the objects, selecting them, positioning them, and so on. Those are the things that you do in this particular scene and this particular environment. This is just in more detail. I found it was missing in a lot of other resources available for you. It's how to create an animation clip. So by following these details, you get the ball bounced around or jumping up and down and so on. It doesn't make sense for me to read it currently, but have a look. And that would be it regarding this practical part. So I wanted to ask you now, having said this, what are your impressions? These are some questions for discussion and reflection that I wanted to have with you, because I don't know what else I could show you practically at the moment. I would love that you go and try this, following the tutorials and materials that are available or that come with the project. But I would be happy to kind of hear your opinion on the topic. And I mean, we have 2 technical people, and we also have 3 people coming from at least those 5 that were providing answers. So how do you see this VR transforming storytelling compared to traditional media? Because you are telling us a message through your art. So do you think that VR would make that message better or not? I mean, being here at this lecture, or I mean, listening, taking part in this project, I think the answer is positive, but I would be happy to hear your thoughts on.
Yeah, you can just unmute yourself or just share your thoughts in the chat.
Yeah, either way, I can see now the chat. So yeah, there is one. Could you share about VR? We can use the same resources for augmented reality. Yes, yes, you can, but augmented reality requires some programming. So it's not a very basic skill, meaning that it does require you to produce these codes. It might be easier if you are but it's still requiring coding. But the simpler version of the coding is, you printing a QR code on a paper, and then you having an app to scan it and visualize a 3D model. That is the type of augmented reality that could be implemented. A virtual reality, the joint component is design of a 3D model. So the 3D model that you could explore in virtual reality could be the same one that is visualized in the augmented reality. And this is very interesting, especially from the perspective of culture heritage. Let's say, at least in Sarajevo, there are a lot of places where there used to be certain monuments, but were destroyed or, over the years. And then you could use the augmented reality, kind of create certain point markers on Google Map. You have to program it, develop it, and then, with the mobile, get the 3D model available and look at the history or the labels explained and written around it. So I would say augmented reality is a bit more challenging. VR is easier. I hope I answered. As a job, what did you? Yeah. I mentioned that I had a strong debate with one of my colleagues who comes from the gaming industry, and he had a gaming company, and he was completely against virtual reality, saying no, it's not gonna happen. But then I went to Poland, and I worked with a company that developed a VR solution, which is for training soft skills. It was how's it called? A submarine. So there was a team of 5 of us in a submarine, and we are trying to rescue somebody, avoid enemy, and come to the end of that level. I was in love. It was absolutely amazing. My colleagues from abroad working in the gaming industry are sharing some examples of games in virtual reality and how they are rising in popularity. So I would say there is, maybe not in Sarajevo. The gaming industry in Sarajevo is not, I did an analysis of the gaming sector in Bosnia and Herzegovina. The results were promising, but on the ground, after 2 years from that study, I don't see any implementations. So I see my students working from gaming studios such as Madhead from Novi Sad, or in Zagreb in Croatia, or working for German and US companies. So yeah, those I think there is potential, definitely.
Yeah, regarding the museums, just want to share a bit of experience. I actually did study art management, so part of our program was also like creating content and exhibitions with different tools. So I had internships in a few museums in the Netherlands. So of course they have bigger budgets, and museums are they just have a possibility to to fund a project like that, which is like technically very complex. And there are a few companies in Amsterdam that I know that are only focusing on the museums and creating projects like different UX experiences only for museums and cultural institutions. But yeah, it's probably like a little bit of a limited field if you wanted to be in culture in particular. Culture is always underfunded overall in any country in the world. Unfortunately, it's first funds that cut.
Being cut.
But yeah, if it's just as technology, I think there is definitely a big growth in Europe, and not only like in Asian markets too, in like video gaming. And I also hear quite a lot about medical fields and how that could be very helpful, like in for hospitals, doctors. Like you can like basically travel throughout the human's body, like certain concepts for like surgeries, like this. You can practice some skills, so there is definitely something happening in the medical field. I'm not an expert in all in that, but I think it's one of the applications that it's rising right now. But it's just few
Absolutely.
comments.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I completely forgot about the medical part, and I didn't mention it at all today. That is a huge market as well, because you have now a VR app that is, at least we have downloaded the demo version. We still haven't bought it for our medical students here at the university, where you go and do anatomy. You study anatomy, which is one of the toughest courses at the Faculty of Medicine. VR. It's beautiful. I mean, I hate blood. I don't like anything, I'm not a doctor. But looking at the quality of the things and how visual it is, for me, being a visual person, it's really excellent possibility. And we did apply, my colleague from the medical department and I, with a project where we want to use VR for training purposes of doctors as well. In a specific field, meaning that, when a patient comes in, and I see that also implemented, there are these solutions that exist online about, if you're changing a job, there is a VR app where you can test, how the interview process goes. Kind of talk to the avatar, which represents the company, and the types of the questions they ask. In the US, you also have the VR used for, especially after the Me Too movement and certain, the things that were happening on the street between policemen and the shooting of, at that time it was Black people. They created a VR in which they are kind of, again, testing and learning both the officers, but also on the other hand, it was people with autism and Down syndrome, I think that's the name in English. how to communicate, because those are people who can work like only maybe in Sarajevo they are put aside and there is like a special school and so on. But in the US they are working on educating them and making sure that they have a life after their parents. Usually at the moment it's, I don't know how aware you are, but one parent has to quit a job to stay with a child, to help them do daily tasks. But there are all these things that these kids can do on their own. I mean, you see these examples of finishing colleges, doing works, and so on. So virtual reality is also used for that. Kind of in a nice, calm environment, you kind of test the tone of the other speaker, you test the reaction of the other speaker, you prepare them. In Japan also they're using virtual reality for flooding, for learning kids about the floods, what to do, and earthquake as well. If there's an earthquake, what do we do? Where do we hide? Where are the emergency exits and so on? All that costs significantly less when done in virtual reality as opposed to real life and having real people, and having to pay all that. So I'm sorry, I mentioned like 5 different examples, but I hope you got the image of the potential of the virtual reality. So is anyone else having any questions, comments, suggestions? I think Anna put here a link asking, I think, please let us know how the workshop went at the end of the session. So if you could do it, I think for all of us doing EU projects, I know how valuable it is to have the feedback at the end to support the mission and the follow-up steps within the project. So if you liked it, just let them know.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I mean, these are just some questions for us to discuss. I mean, if anyone is willing to create a comment, like what makes a virtual space feel meaningful rather than just visually impressive, because the quality of the graphics is increasing. So this is something I ask my students as well. What do we add there? How, it seems real, but is it real? What else do we need? And would you still be in a virtual reality as opposed to real life? I choose real life still, but virtual reality for the training is super cool. What do you think? Anyone?
Don't be shy. It's a safe space. Yeah.
Well, these are, I mean, on the slides, you will see that I only left a few more motivations. So for you, kind of Unity might feel overwhelming, but do not quit. It's better. It's nice. Start modeling with Blender, probably because it's a free tool. Explore other environmts, add them, adjust them, and just quote. I keep adding these quotes, as you can see, trying to motivate you to. You are the one creating these stories for us. I am from the technology side, so the technology exists, but ideas are yours. I can do stop sharing now. I hope you had a good time. I hope I offered something that is new to you. And I am here if you have any questions, suggestions, advices, please do shout out or let us know.
Yeah, thank you guys very much. And that was recorded, so it will be available on the FabLab platform later if you want to rewatch something or get back to it. So you could find it probably around 20th of March. When we finish all the workshops, we'll publish the recordings and we'll share with you. I think that's it for today. Thank you very much for joining.
Thank you all very much. Thank you, Anna, for the moderating.
Thank you. Okay.
Oh, thank you, Anna, for the heart. Thank you so much, Blue Sky. Thank you. You too. I'm putting hearts to all the messages.
Yeah.